Brother, what are you doing? We gotta get out of here right now. We're taking fire. You don't have any smokes? What are you talking about? Oh my gosh. I'll throw some real quick. Just keep ready to move. Let's go. To all the other people putting YouTube videos out there with smoke grenades, please stop throwing the smoke grenade 5 feet in front of you and then standing on top of it and saying, oh man, this thing's putting out some pretty good smoke. Well, yeah, no crap. You're standing right on top of it. Like, give a realistic scenario like I'm about to do in the future of this video. Like, stop trying to aura farm for the video, please. It's not helpful. So... What's up, YouTube? Today I'm going to be yapping about the concept of smoke grenades to prepared civilians. I think they're often very overlooked because essentially civilians can't get the real thing, you know, like from the military. But in today's demonstration, I've got some videos I'm going to be showing you from the throwing perspective and from the receiving perspective. And just so you know, the smoke grenades that I'm going to be using in today's video, it's going to be these Enola Gaze the EG18Xs. They're one of the higher outputs from theirs lineups. Like the thicker ones are kind of more similar to, I think, like the IWA B14s or 15s, whichever model that is.
All right, listen up, y'all. I'm y'all substitute teacher.
Now I'm going to demonstrate how to use the smoke grenade for civilian context in Minecraft. As you can see, I have it wrote down right here. This is what you want to do in Minecraft.
Let's Minecraft!
So, with that grain of salt being added, this is your position here. Now, in this demonstration, I kind of have it on the edge of a forest. You can see the beautiful trees that I drew here. And I got like a house over here. I got like another house over here, or a barn of such, whatever you want to consider it. And then the enemy position here. Now, it doesn't matter if the enemy position is in a house or a wood line or a barn, whatever the case might be, it'll still apply here. The most likelihood in this scenario of using the smoke grenade, you're going to be using it to evade/escape the scenario that you're in. I highly doubt you're going to be using it to legit throw to maneuver on an enemy. I mean, to be real, if you're a Giga Chad and you and the boys definitely want to do that, you can definitely do it, but that's just putting your life and your health at risk of an accident or something that you did not plan of happening. And without full medical access, I probably wouldn't recommend that. I would recommend the escape option, but that's totally up to you. You're in charge of your own goon squad, so that's that. Now also, you and the squad should be properly planning on where you're going to be positioned at, regardless of what it might be doing. If you're moving from point A to point B, or you're setting up an ambush of some kind. But for the purposes of this, I just have it like on the edge of a forest and the enemy on the other side of this open field, essentially. Let's say from wherever your position is, regardless if you're in a dense forest, light forest, open field, which you definitely shouldn't be, or just near structures at all. Well, now the enemy is firing upon you and they see you. Well, if you have no cover to be behind and you're just kind of standing behind a tree, obviously you want to maneuver away from that position as quick as possible. So obviously the best way to put a visual barrier is a smoke grenade, obviously, point of this video. So there's going to be a couple caveats you want to know beforehand before you throw the smoke grenade. And the biggest caveat is going to be wind. For a prime example, I'm going to write up here in the corner that the wind is blowing from left to right, this way, right? And let's just say that the enemy teams, these little sticks is going to be the enemy, right? They kind of got like a straight formation on y'all, in a way. Blah, blah, blah. Well, and they're firing towards you. So obviously with the wind blowing this way, obviously you want to throw the smoke grenade on this side, on the left side, because the wind is going to carry the smoke from left to right. So, say our marker here, you toss it from here all the way to here, and then boom, it hits right there, it starts smoking like this, and it starts to fizzle out a little bit. All right, so now that you got that, you definitely have a visual barrier there, but one thing to take note is that with the smoke grenade, whenever you do throw it, that smoke is going to be coming from the actual port where it's escaping from the actual grenade. So it's going to start off skinny, but as the wind pushes it, it's kind of going to come into like more of a cloud-like, kind of like a reverse funnel in a way. So actually, let me erase that right there real quick and give you a more accurate representation. Let's just say like this, right? But this is another thing to do note, that the smoke is technically thicker in these areas, but as it gets strings out, the smoke starts getting thinner. So, depending on how big of an area you need to cover, I would typically recommend throwing possibly even 2 smoke grenades, more than likely, because the chances are the 1 smoke grenade probably won't be enough because these are civilian-based smoke grenades. So they're not going to be as strong as their possibly the military counterpart. I personally don't have any experience with those, but I have seen videos, and the civilian ones are just less, but that's just that. And they're definitely not the Call of Duty smoke grenades that when you throw, it's just boom, instant cloud of smoke. So now we're drawing the second smoke grenade. Say you threw the first one right here. Let's just say you managed to throw one a little bit further than that, and let's just say you got lucky and you landed it right here, probably right in front of that last enemy right here to the left. We'll do our cone. Okay. So now, obviously, with throwing 2 smoke grenades, you're going to have double the amount of smoke, technically. And if you really wanted to get, chance it a little bit, because just so you know, if the wind's blowing like this direction, like in this demonstration, the smoke grenade, it's going to start out a small strand, like I said in the cone demonstration. So, with that being said, in the video, you'll see it where I have one demonstrated. But essentially, you're going to have less coverage, but thicker coverage. But you're going to have bigger coverage, but thinner coverage, if that makes sense. So now I have the smoke blowing upward towards the enemy. Now, this one here is going to be not necessarily trickier, but you just still have to stay prepared because the wind is everything. So obviously with this, with the cone demonstration that we know how it works now, obviously you want to place it in an area to where, essentially the skinny part of the cone is not directly on them. You kind of want the thicker part of the cone on them directly so they can't see forward. So let's just say you throw it about on this right here on this board, we'll say midways, right? We'll say you throw 3 technically because the wind's blowing. So let's say it goes out like this, goes out like that, and goes out like this. So at least technically like that, you could still cover all the enemy position, and this is assuming all the enemy is in one position and they don't have, like an L shape going on over here, looking at you. But that's that. And same thing, similar also with it blowing towards you. Essentially, when you blow it towards you, whenever, now it's going to be a similar practice too when the wind's blowing towards you. Per se, if you throw it out midways again in this demonstration, and it's coming out like this, then essentially you have the smoke still coming down, like thicker in these areas right here. And technically it will go into the wooded area also and kind of mask the whole forest. In a way, I mean, obviously it's not going to mask the whole forest, but still, that'll give you plenty of time to maneuver out of the way. And then also something very similar from the wind blowing from right to left. Now you feel free to say, throw the actual smoke grenade where you would like, but just as long as you're making the licks count to where you're getting smoke coverage over your enemy's position. That's really the biggest thing that's going to help us out here. Now, giving you that brief demonstration on where you want to place the smokes and how they work, kinda. Now, for you Chads out there who want to use it to maneuver to fire upon the enemy in Minecraft, and say you want to, say go more slanted into the forest or go to a structure here, obviously you're going to do the same thing, but you're going to prioritize that smoke covering your way to the structure. So you can legit just circle all the way around to the position, or heck, just if you wanted to, you could do that too. But it's your game, you play it. And then you just, whichever way the wind's blowing, let's say if it's going that way, you can place it here and you get a big cone going out that way, and then you can put another one right here and the cone going out that way. That could work, and then vice versa. Technically, you just want to make sure they're spread out enough to where when the wind's blowing, it makes the most sense for it to cover your position. Duh. Now, this is what you definitely do not want to do. You definitely do not want, by any means, unless you want to severely risk your life to a 100% chance of rate, essentially, you get the drift. You do not want to throw your smokes, essentially, in a way that, covers the area right here. And then you do not want to push through the smoke. That is a big no-no. And the reason being is, essentially, you do not want to walk through the smoke and then you are at point blank range of the enemy looking straight at you. I know this sounds obvious, but there is a group of individuals out there that have watched too many movies that think that this is the most goated response of all time. And to be quite honest with you, yes, in the movies, it does look cool. I get it. It's very rad. But this is not a tactic you want to do. Now, I'm sure there's going to be somebody in the comments saying, oh, back in blah, blah, blah such year, we did this tactic and it was the coolest thing ever. Okay, yes, cool. Yes, that probably worked then. But for this scenario, I think that for the percentage rate of surviving the fight, I would highly not recommend that. You definitely want to reconsider that thought and essentially you only use the smoke to maneuver and escape the fight you do not want to be in. Another scenario that I'm going to not recommend that you do is technically smoke your position you're in to where essentially you cannot see out of your own position. That is the biggest negative also too that we do not want to do, because that keeps us unaware from what's happening around us. Because that will also give the enemy a chance to maneuver, say, to a different location, and then they can just hang out, say like on the side of this building over here, and just wait for you. Just so for whenever the smoke clears, they'll see you standing here, and then they'll have a direct arrow shot in Minecraft towards you. So, another do not recommend. All right, now it's finally time for the footage. The parts that most of y'all probably was looking towards. Now to explain a little bit of my thought process that I had in the video there, the one smoke grenade, I mean, it did okay. I mean, it's not the best in the world, I would say, but it probably would have gotten the job done. But I wanted to do a little bit better job, so in the next one I throw 2 of them. I threw one in the center, and I threw one upwind from where the wind's coming from, so you kind of get that more spread out a little bit further down the line, essentially. So yeah, definitely the 2 smokes rather than 1 worked way better, especially because 1 was upwind, but also the amount, because there was 2 times the amount of smokes. Who would have thought that would have actually worked better, right? Now earlier in the video, after that sick intro, you've seen the title card Omni Provisions, and you might be wondering, well, what is Omni Provisions? I thought I'm watching the OMNI-BYRON channel. Well, Omni Provisions is actually my online store to where I sell various items to the prepared civilian. And not only do I have competitive prices, but I also have a rewards program built in. And essentially, it's a 5% return off your entire order into your rewards pool. So, for a prime example, if you spend $100, you get $5 back, and that is stored forever in your account, and you can redeem it whenever you want. So thank you for Omni Provisions for sponsoring this video. So back to the content. So in this next clip, I'm gonna have one in the woods because those 2 were kind of in an open field, but this with the wind blowing. So with this next one, it's gonna be in a more woodland setting, so where the wind's not gonna be hitting it and busting it as hard.
What did he say?
So yeah, as soon as I got done shooting the one smoke grenade right there in the middle of that trail that you kind of seen there, I thought that worked pretty good as long as the wind didn't blow it from side to side. So then after that, I decided, well, heck, I'm gonna go ahead and throw two and try to gauge that wind where it blows through. So as you seen in the second one, the wind changed and it didn't kind of keep it in the middle of that trail where you can kind of see me standing there. But don't look necessarily at me in that particular slot, like look at the smoke, because the goal is to see how much smoke we're putting out. And obviously with a smoke grenade, the biggest thing to utilize them is the skill. From gauging the wind, knowing where to throw it so that the smoke can cover you. So yeah, I know this video is kind of a little bit more of just like a watching video. You know, it's not real, it's kind of drawn out, you know. But I wanted to showcase the actual smoke grenades and kind of what they could do as far as the civilian class goes, because they're not their Call of Duty counterpart where you toss it and it's just boom, like massive cloud. That is not what it's like. The misconception is not true. And that's the biggest reason. Like, yes, it's gonna be a little boring to probably watch all this if you're still watching at this point, but it is what it is, and you know, I'm just trying to give you that information. I think when it comes to civilians, even the civilian class of smoke grenades, I still think they work pretty good, and I think they have a very nice use case that fits in the assessment slash pool of things that the prepared civilian might want to have on hand, regardless if it's a screening device like I displayed in the video or a signaling device, and say like a different color, like, you know, red or blue or green, whatever color you want to do. I mean, there's different colors for different reasons of signaling per se. And I'll actually flash this on the screen right now so you can see what the different classes actually mean. So if you made it this far in the video, I appreciate you sticking around and checking out the info dumps that I'm putting out for y'all, because my number one priority is to give y'all the information to help decide what you need to do for your preparedness plan. So if you find this content informational and entertaining, please consider hitting the like button, the subscribe button, and feel free to leave down a comment. So thank you very much for watching my video on civilian class smoke grenades, and have a good rest of your day.